reading of the aura is so powerful because the reading of the aura shows us so much about people on a level that even they don't know. And I think this is one of the most difficult thing with most people is, who are we? You know, I certainly know I ask that of myself, you know, occasionally going like, who am I? Why am I here? You know, and I do know a lot of my mission, but sometimes there's things that go on and I go, what the heck is going on here? Now, on the computer screen, I'm going to start moving towards, you know, going through. So can everybody see the 3 screens that I have here, which is the organ, the chakra, and the aura? Can everyone see that?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, great. So what I'm doing is I've split my screen into 2, so bear with me because I'm going to be looking up. I placed the one screen right above. This is actually my aura. So I took my scan before we all logged on to each other, and I did that because sometimes it's easier to talk about myself because I know my issues. So if you guys ask me any questions, it's not like I've taken a static picture and I'm trying to answer questions for you. So this way, if you have any questions, I can sort of tell you a little bit about myself. But the first half hour, what we're going to do is we're going to run through a tutorial. And I wanted to do that because the more proficient you become with the technology in regards to usage, then the more you can do shortcuts. And one of now, what I'm going to do here, just bear with me. I'm going to mute everyone until I ask questions, and you can either unmute yourself or I'll unmute you as a group. So this way, and now that I have my chat working as well, you can also chat me. So let me just fool around here for a second, and I'm just going to make sure that I have the chat box open. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go back on the second screen here, and I'm going to take you through all the shortcut buttons and also illustrate to you that the buttons that are shortcuts are also illustrated in the pull-down windows. So the first button here is the organ biofeedback graph software shortcut button. And when you click or unclick that button, then you'll obviously see that that screen moves or goes away. Now, another important factor is that when you see these 3 buttons here, I can minimize that window or I can maximize it that it shows on the full screen. Never, ever touch these 3 that are to your complete Biopulsar program, because there's no need to shut that down. Rather, at the end of the day, when you want to close your program, you go to File and Quit. Then all your windows will reappear exactly how you left them the night before or the day before. Okay, so just give me one more second here. I'm just going to minimize the screen because I'm using the dual screen option. It's a little bit more tricky for me, but so that is the organ biofeedback graph software. And there's 2 features to it. One where the graphs are beside each other for more refined assessment. Plus you can split the screen and see one recording after another. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But first and foremost, I just want to run through all the features. The third little box here is to show the full body aura picture, and you also have the option of showing the half body. Now the half body is a zoom, which just gives you a stronger perspective, and now that AuraMed has the colors of the organ underneath, it's not as necessary to use that feature, but it still is a nice feature if you ever want to zoom in. And I'm just going to bring back the all windows beside each other. Okay, if you lose your windows, go to Windows and vertically, and it'll realign all your windows beside each other. You can also do vertically, but to me that's not a function that I like as much unless you want to kind of maximize and minimize. Then that's a good one. But otherwise, I like the windows where we go vertically, and all the windows that you have purchased in regards to the softwares will show up on screen. And I have the organ biofeedback, the chakra, and, oh, pardon me, the chakra here, and in the middle, the aura pictures. So this way, I've got all three of my softwares on screen. Now, if I'm ever doing anything else, I maximize and minimize the window. So for example, here I have the Chromalize software open, and so therefore, you know, I can maximize this window and go to any of my additional what we call support softwares. And the support softwares tend to run through the Aura software. And this is why when we look at the Aura software plane, then there's nothing in the text, but as soon as you buy additional softwares, then you'll automatically get that information. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Okay, now going back to the screen here. Now, this button here is for the communication. So always make sure that that's pressed in. And if you pull out your hand plate, then that will deactivate, which means then you can't take a recording. So this always has to be pushed in, especially if you've had your window open and you disconnected your hand plate for whatever reason. This is where you save all your recordings, and I haven't saved my recording today, and as I mentioned, this is my recording. Now, one of the things that I always do when I save a recording is I do it in a manner of a code. So I do the first 4 letters of the person's last name, followed by the first letter of their first name, and then the actual date. So today is 07/02/20. So it becomes 3 numbers and 6 digits, or pardon me, I said that backwards, 5 letters and 6 numbers. So this way it's all coded. So you can see that these are some of my previous recordings. And so I always record myself. Sometimes when I'm lazy, I actually do SM because I know what recordings are mine. But when I'm doing a demonstration, I always do it the long way. But you'll notice that these are a lot of my files, and they're all mainly formatted with the last name. Unless I do an event, then I just take the first name. So sometimes I do get lazy, but nonetheless. And then I save the recordings in a folder that's on my desktop called Biopulsar Recordings. Similarly, I've created other folders for the Biopulsar, one called Excel files when I'm doing studies, and tabulating a client's results over a period of time. And then I also have picture files. Nowadays with, and I'll show you guys what I do, but nowadays with the more current laptops, you can actually create a PDF file. So I'm going to teach you guys how to create a PDF file of the Aura picture right on the screen. So I don't travel with a printer, and I don't print out pictures for people anymore. I just say, give me your phone number, and I'll actually, or give me your email, and I will email you your PDF file of your picture. So this way, 1, we're saving, you know, trees, and 2, I think it's a lot more fun that people have their Aura picture on their phone, because then they can show their picture off to their friends quite easily. So I have a file that I just put pictures in. That was a file that's illustrating my research from that, from the cannabis project that I did. And I'm trying to think if I have anything else, but that in a nutshell is my main file. So when I'm saving a recording, I make sure that I put in where I'm saving the recording, and then I just hit save, and voila, it is saved. Okay, super easy. Now, if I want to go back and replay a recording, I go to this button, and it'll open up my window where all my recordings are, and I can pick whatever recording I want and open it up. So super easy to bring out recordings again, or bring up recordings again. Now, this is a screenshot. So you can actually take, or pardon me, wrong one. This is for new. So I'm not going to do it now because I want to keep my picture on the screen. But if, you know, if you want, you can unhook the clock and then hit new, and it will erase all the information on the screen. It will also erase all the information on the screen just by putting a fresh hand on the hand plate. So you don't need this button, but sometimes it's nice to have a fresh screen so people don't think that, you know, somebody else's reading is interfering with their reading. The next one, as I mentioned, is to open up a past recording. And then when you open up a past recording, you can stop replay or simply wait for it to go to the end of the recording. And when it hits the end of the recording, then it will automatically stop at that time. The red button is when you're doing research and you want to actually record recordings consecutively, meaning I could do several scans of myself, and by actually unactivating the clock, and I'll just show you, no data is being held because I probably unplugged my hand plate, but that's okay, we'll just go cancel. But by hitting this recording button, it's just going to record consecutively. Okay, so it's just another feature, and it's probably going to be better if I show that a little bit more clearer when we go to the area of this meeting where we're going to be talking about the organ biofeedback graph software, because then I'm going to talk to you about how you can do consecutive recording and test products or thoughts or other things. Okay. And then we have this button here, which is your module manager. And on some of the older systems, you will not have this, but if you ever purchase an upgrade, then you'll be upgraded to all the newer items. And I can do some upgrades from systems that are later than 2008. So if you don't have some of these features and you want to be upgraded, let me know and we can work on that. So this opens up all the software that you own, and in this case, because we have all the software, then I can simply change to the different softwares by clicking on whatever I want to show off. So all I do is hit activate, and then it takes just a second, and then that next software will then be put, and as I mentioned earlier, it'll be shown in the Aura software on the right-hand side of the screen. So it's very easy to go back and forth into the different softwares. The Great Holistic is quite a comprehensive software, so that takes about 30 seconds to a minute to switch that screen, but all the other softwares take less than 30 seconds to switch over. And of course, when you're doing different things with a client, you can just engage in a conversation in the meantime. The next thing is the camera, and I can actually take a picture with my phone and hook up a cable to my laptop, download a picture, and that becomes the background picture of the program. So I can swap out this picture or this picture, and I'm pointing to the Aura picture or the Chakra picture, and I can put in any picture that I want. I can put the client's picture in, or I can put in any graphic that I want. So some people have made some nice graphics and they use that picture, where this is the universal picture of the perfect man that was painted by Da Vinci. And I personally prefer that over actually putting in a client's photo. And I'll tell you a quick little story that you may have heard before, but I did an event and I gave people the option of their picture or just the Da Vinci graph. And the first person who chose their picture, I was doing their reading, and in the midst of me sharing information about her aura with her, all of a sudden she made a comment, and that comment was, "I'm having a bad hair day." And from that moment on, I never offered the capability of putting a person's picture in the background, because I now realize our ego gets in the way, and we almost become obsessed with our own picture on the screen when we see it, and we become self-critical. So I tell people that, yes, I can put your picture in here, but I don't want your ego in the way. So I'm using the generic photo, but this is your aura that's inlaid over it. And once you get into the reading anyways, I find that people really understand that the information is, concrete and accurate. And so that picture, you know, that I might have put in of them is really irrelevant. It's the data that we get from the system that's most important. And, you know, so to me, that's really, you know, important. Now, if that's something that you want me to show you, then I'll show you after we go through everything. So remind me at the end of the hour, and then I can always go back and show you. This is a snapshot. So whatever screen I'm on, it creates a snapshot of it. So if I want to go into my Paint program, and because I'm screen sharing, you're not going to be able to see this unless I disconnect it. And because Zoom is still fairly new to me, I don't want to be, you know, changing off windows and then having a little bit of a difficulty getting back to where I want to go. So, but what you can do is you can take a screenshot and open up your Paint program or another graphic program and input the picture that you've taken, that screenshot that you've taken, and put it into a graphic. So for example, if you're making especially your own business cards, then you can take your own picture of your aura and whatever else you want to and make a TIFF or a JPEG or a PDF and utilize that picture. So the screenshot just takes a picture of whatever window you're on. Now this is the XL button, which is the shortcut to take you to the organ analysis. And again, because we're going to be talking about the graph display, I'll refer to this as well, but this is giving you the diagnostic of the organs in a linear perspective. And on a scale of 1 to 10, it tells you the state of health. Between 4 and 7 is the normal range. 4 to 5 is the low side of normal. 5 to 6 is healthy, and between 6 and 7 is optimal, meaning you have a reserve. So when I'm doing a holistic examination, I quickly go through here and see where the energy weaknesses are. And then again, it's validating, you know, what it is that I want to work on with the client. Okay. So, and as we do more and more of these Zoom meetings, I'll be able to show you you know, more aspects of the system over and over and over again in case, you know, it's something that you're still green on and you want to memorize it. How I became good with the program is just constantly playing with it. Because I think the more you, you know, just look under the window menus and the more you click on the buttons, then the more familiar you'll get with the program. Plus you have that blue technical manual that comes with your system, and if you've lost it, let me know and I can email you the most current version, which also would give you insight into anything that maybe you're unsure of or don't have. So that's easy enough for me to do because that blue manual, I have it in a PDF file to send out. So, and beside here is the print icon, and I wanted to show you this. When I go to print picture, and we're just going to start with that, and hit OK, then when you go under your printer features, you can see here, I can print it out on a printer, or I can actually go Microsoft Print to PDF, and that will create a PDF file of the aura picture. And I'm just going to back out of there because if I actually go to this icon, which is to the right of the printer, and hit that first, I can still print out, but it will give me a preview first. So I've switched it to that so you can actually see this is the PDF file that we're creating. Okay, and then if we go all the way through, then it's going to again take us back to creating that PDF file, and we can save it on our desktop. So we just hit OK, and it's going to create that PDF file. And as I told you, I have a folder where I hold all my pictures, and then I would just put in, you know, this is client Murph S, and I always follow it again by the date, because the more recordings that you take, you don't want to duplicate them and record or save over previous recordings. And then I put the date, so the date is always very important to have on there. I hit save, and now I've got that saved. And depending on what program I have, and again, I'm going to go back to print preview. If you have the Horoscope program, and I'm happy to show you guys the different programs as we sort of, you know, continue to do meetings on the Thursday. Today we have, you know, our schedule of doing the organ biofeedback graph software combined with this quick little tutorial to begin with. You know, and so I can go into some of the other softwares, but I did put the Oroscope on so you can sort of see the Oroscope program and how it's generated. But I pick the lowest organs of the client. So I know with myself, the cerebellum was a little goofy today. You know, my mouth was also showing up as a deficiency. I also saw that my hip was a little wonky. So I'm going to schedule the hip as well. And my rectum was flatlining, so I'll click that. Plus, I always include the start, the stop, and the total values. So this way, when I'm generating an Oroscope report or a ChromaLive report, then I'm getting additional data. And they've switched this over to be in English, but my program still shows up in German, but it's just saying first name and last name. I'm just going to do the first name here and hit OK. And it's going to generate a report. So I'm going to show you now what we've seen. We have next page, which is giving me the illustration of all the color values of the organs, which is great if you're doing therapy treatments using light therapy or, you know, chakra therapy in relationship to oils and essences as well. It's going to give you whatever report that you have programmed in your system. So in this case, we have the partial report for the Oroscope. If I do the full report, it becomes 20 pages. However, when you're doing different things for different clients, you always have to do things in a tier system, meaning if they're paying for a half-hour reading and you're including this, this, and this, then you stick to that. Where if they're paying for a 1-hour reading and, you know, that package may have more components in it. So for example, the Oroscope report, I do mini reports and I do comprehensive reports. The mini reports, I only focus on 3 to 5 organs that are problematic, which is what I did in this report. So you can see here, there's an introduction. And then as we progress in the report, you can see that I chose certain organs to display the data. And then as we go through it, it continues with the organs that I highlighted, and then there's a conclusion. And so it's a nice report to give a client. Like I said, I could have done a full report, or I just do a partial report. And again, if I'm doing the recording, then I continue the process of plugging in the client's name and just going through that. But I showed you that already, so I'm not going to repeat it. Now, with the newer versions also, there's a blue head, and that blue head allows you to type in the client's name, however you want to do it, whether it's the full name or a partial name, or what you may want to do is just actually put in their coded name and date. So this way, again, this is going to be what shows up on the report, and 0220, and either way, when, again, I'm printing out a report, I'm going to go back to the page preview and just show you that it will now print out as part of the report on every page. So this way, whether you put the person's name in or their coded, what we call their coded name, that's what's going to show up on the report. Okay, so that blue head now allows us to put the client's information on anything that we print out. Now, the other buttons that are on here, Start Program, this is another feature that was added in more of the newer versions, but it allows you to open up, for example, Excel, and I'll just, can you guys see that on your screen? Give me, yeah, you can, okay, good. So, here you can see that I have a Excel, and I don't know why it's saying not recovered. I don't want to interfere with it, but it will allow you, do you want to cancel the open? Yes, we'll cancel that. It'll allow you to open up your Excel program through the Biopulsar program. So it's just one less step for you to do. It's sort of like a shortcut. Okay, now just give me a second here. Okay, and then the next is for a patient admin program. So for a lot of practitioners who are professionals in the field of acupuncture, or maybe they're a medical doctor, they've already invested in patient admin programs. So similarly to the program where I can access Excel through the Biopulsar program, you can also access an administrator program. Oramed did not develop an admin program because those are already on the market, and for a lot of professionals, they already have that program implemented. Now the next button here is information, and I'll just click on it so you can see what shows up. You have our disclaimer, the copyright, and you also have Oramed's address in there. Now Oramed will not respond to any emails that come from North America because we are their sole distributor, so they will just send me any requests that you send. So it's just easier if you send me any requests or give me a call, okay? But for people who are Europe or in other countries, they can contact Oramed directly. However, again, if you've purchased the system through me, then just go through me because I already have all your information, and it just makes it that much easier. And then the last button, which is a little bit light in color, it opens an online assistance where you can access the technical manual as well. Okay, so that is all your shortcut buttons. Now, a lot of these buttons are also in here. So you'll notice that we have the save button, which is this button right here. It's the same feature, but this is the shortcut. When I go back under File, we have Screenshot. Well, Screenshot is also this button right here. If I go back under File, you'll see that it says Start Program, which is this button, hold on, right there. And then the admin, which is next door. And then likewise, we have the print, which is right there. So a lot of these buttons are all here. So it's just one less thing for you to do. You don't have to open up the scroll down window if you don't want to. Now in View, this shows you what you have open. So here we have Overview of Graphs. We have, which is this right here. I can also remove the harmony line. So if I don't want to have the green line in there, I can totally remove it. So if you have the organ biofeedback graphs, then it would just be easier for you to analyze than maybe your client seeing that green line and trying to figure out what's going on. It's sort of like a feature of you know, when you go to the doctor's not going to give you the x-rays because you're not going to understand how to interpret the x-rays. Similarly, when you're analyzing the graphs, you're being trained to analyze the graphs, not the patient. So, and I have to close that window, and when I reopen it again, then the graph lines will be there. Sometimes you have to close a window and reopen it whenever you're doing something new or changing things up because it has a memory. So you have to close it to get the new memory back in place. So under View, we have the total aura picture on display, the chakras on display, and obviously we want to keep the toolbar. Now here I can also import the background picture that I've taken with my cell phone or a digital camera, and I just hook it up with a USB cable, and I can transport that picture into the background. So here I would just choose whatever JPEG that I want, and I don't have anything there. I could see if I have anything on my desktop to show you. But no, I don't have anything there. Maybe I have something under pictures. Let's see. I have this graphic. So I can just quickly show you. And this is how you would download another picture in the background. This is a picture that a client created. They wanted something a little bit more generic, and you can see now the background picture is implemented in the background. I personally like Da Vinci's graph, but you would do the same thing when you take somebody's picture on your phone or with a digital camera. You can put their picture in the background. Super easy. Now under the data window, we have the save, which again I showed you was the diskette. Also, I can take out the animation if I want, and that's only necessary if you're replaying things, but in this case, it's not something that you'll do often, but I'd have to show you how to do the replay, and I'm not going to do that right now. The communication, as I mentioned, is this, And I just lost my recording, so I'll have to do it again. Or now this gives me a time to replay it for you. So here I'm going to give you that demonstration anyways. So if I want to replay it, I hit the replay button. And now I've got to go back to where my recordings are, where I just recorded my picture earlier today. File, I always have everything opening by date. So this was the recording I did earlier, and then I just hit the open button and it's going to replay it from start to finish. Now, a couple things that we're going to go into, because we are going to be moving into the graphs. I actually kept my hand on the Biopulsar for about 3 minutes. And I'll explain that after we finish this demonstration. So under data, I could have replayed it without animation, which would just give me the end result. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just quickly show you that. So I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm going to go back to the recording again, and I'm going to go open. And what's going to happen is now I instantly get the full recording for my graph interpretation, but it's without the picture. So this is just from before, but literally you wouldn't get a good representation of the aura in the same way if you replay it with the actual animation. Okay? And again, when I open it up for questions, if you have any questions about that, then I can go back and show you again. Data input, this is when you're first setting up your system, or after a while, once you've practiced with the system, I can embed my own text. So for example, I'm just going to go to description 1, and I can type in here test, and might be easier if I go to description 5, because I think my cerebellum's at 5 right now, so then I can show you. I'll just type in the word test, and then I apply it and hit OK. And now when I go to the description, you'll see, and again, because I just did this, I'm going to have to reopen it, and you'll see this is the information that I just typed in there. Now also, when you're doing this, you have to be in the administration program to ensure that you have control over entering data. And so data input allows you to write your own repertoire for all the organs, and as well, you can also do it for the chakras. And this window is a little bit too big, so I'm not sure if you're able to see the top, but here we have organs and chakras. So I can also write my own chakra description. But when you've purchased the chakra software, you automatically now get the color energy software. If you don't have it, let me know and I'll see if I can get it for you. Okay, and I'm always updating it as well. So it takes about 2 to 3 hours to input all the data. But once you've put it, it's there, and it just will become part of your program. Now, Module Manager, this is the shortcut when you're changing from the different software programs that you've purchased. So I showed you that earlier, so I don't think I need to go back on that. And then name of the client is the blue head. I call it the Alfred Hitchcock head because it reminds me of Alfred Hitchcock. Now under Miscellaneous, you have an options feature, and you can slow down the recording, meaning it picks up the data slower. I prefer it to be in real time, which is 500 milliseconds. You can also change the language. We'll keep it in English here, but there's a couple dozen different languages that are now embedded into the program. And when you're doing the patient admin hookup, you would do it through here, where here you can see external program. This is linking to my spreadsheet. So this is how you would actually hook up, and I'll just sort of show you. You would hook up your patient admin program through this button or your Excel spreadsheet, or pardon me, I did that backwards. This is for your Excel spreadsheet, and this is for your patient admin program. And also under Miscellaneous, whenever you upgrade your software, you will get a new registration code that you input that will allow you access to whatever software you've purchased. Likewise, if you change your address, send me your address change, and then we would get that change through Oramed. Okay, so that in a nutshell is all the different features of the Biopulsar program, and I'm just going to unmute and we'll just have an open dialogue here. Does anybody have any questions